Namaste, it's Sahara Rose, and welcome back to the Highest Self podcast, a place where we discuss what makes you your soul's highest evolvement. Last week, I majorly opened up with you guys and shared with you the hardest period of my life, which was when I graduated from college, had no idea what I was going to do, bought a one-way ticket to Bali, lived in a jungle with a Balinese family with no connection with the outside world, was volunteering, work trading to sleep in their bamboo hut on the floor with no electricity, and came back. My relationship with my parents downfalled, found out I was being cheated on, had to move back home with my parents, got super depressed, and eventually made my way to Los Angeles, was going to move to Ecuador to become a shaman, was invited to teach yoga retreat in India, and ended up in India. So long story short, listen to the last episode so you can really get to know the nitty-gritty details. But that's basically what happened to me the year that I was 23 years old. So I just wanted to give a little follow-up about what happened since then. Now I'm 26, going to be 27 in a month. And I just wanted to give a little follow-up because I know I left you guys kind of on a cliffhanger. I think we were at the point where I left for India to lead this first retreat with a woman that I met in Bali in our shamanic teacher training. So first I went to Bangladesh, as I mentioned. I just posted a picture of that on my Instagram, so definitely check that out at I am Sahara Rose. And I head over to India. I did the Nataraj dance festival and I led the retreat. And afterwards, it was time for me to leave India. I especially knew it was time because that last night I was sexually harassed, almost could have been raped. It was actually a really scary situation. I'm going to briefly share it with you guys because I don't want you guys to get into that situation. And it was also the second time that this has happened to me. But in India and Bali and many parts of the world, there's no taxis. You take local people on motorcycles, and that's how you get around. So I remember when I first moved to Bali, I was like, this is really weird. There's just men like hanging around on the street, and you just get on the back of a bike with them. So I was like, oh no, like I can't do this. But it was literally the only way to get around. So I started doing it and I got used to it. And in Bali, there was a situation that is like this one that I'm going to share. So in India, in Arambol, in the kind of village, it was like a kind of hippie village in Goa in South India where I was staying. It was the same thing. India doesn't have those same like everything's really peaceful and safe vibes that Bali does. Bali I like to compare to a womb. When you're in Bali, especially in, like northern Bali in the jungle, you feel like you are just so cradled by nature. You feel so loved. Like it has such a feminine energy, and earth is just so there providing for you and nurturing you, and people are so nice and everything is so intentioned, and people, it's a ritual that every single morning they walk to every single house and leave an offering of these beautiful flowers in a bamboo leaf that they create for every single house, every single store, every single wherever it is, and offer a blessing. They do this in the cities as much as they do this in the villages, and it's something that's never died down. So the Balinese people are truly just some of the most beautiful, peaceful, kind, loving people I have ever met. So when I arrived in Arambol, it was totally the opposite. And I had heard Arambol was like the Bali of India, but it's not. India has a much more masculine energy. So in Arambol, though there were yoga classes and things like that, it's not lush. It's very dry, and the people there stare you down. In India, staring is a really normal thing. It's not considered rude to just like stare at someone and point and talk about them while just looking at them. Like that's not weird in India. Let alone if you're like me and you look totally Indian. And, it's interesting because Persian people and Indian people are this exact same race. The Mughal Empire was a Persian empire that moved to northern India. So a lot of our language is the same. I understand a lot of Hindi. I grew up, my mom is from the south of Iran, which is where a lot of Indians immigrated from. So I grew up eating a lot of Indian food. So I understand what's right and what's wrong. So I know my way around India. I mean, after living there for 2 years. So I was able to kind of differentiate who to trust and who not to. And I found this man who was an older man, and he was like a bike rider who would drive people around, and he became my go-to guy. Instead of taking different people, I like to have like one trusted person. And so he would drive me around, like whenever I would call him or see him, he would take me to wherever I needed to go, and I trusted him and he was fine. And it was my last night, and I was performing at the International Tribal Belly Dance Festival, and I had makeup on, which I normally didn't have, and I was dressed up, but I was like fully covered. You couldn't see anything. I don't know, something just like got into his head. So we were on our way there, and you have to drive through a jungle for about like 30-40 minutes to get to where this performance center was. So it's just him and I'm on the back of his bike, and we're driving along in the jungle at night. And suddenly he puts his hand on my leg, on my thigh. And I was just like, wait, what? So I move his hand off, and he puts his hand back on my thigh. And I move it off, and I said, "Don't touch me." And he's like, why can't I? And I was like, I told everyone I was married. I was like, I'm married. Like, my husband's in Delhi. And he's like, I don't care if you have a husband. You know that you and I are meant to be with each other. Like, how old do you think I am? I'm like, I don't know, like 55. He's like, no, I'm 32. I'm like, I don't care. Don't touch me. And I could tell he started to get mad. And I got, like, literally, I can't explain to you how fast my heart was racing, because I could scream and yell as loud as I wanted, and there's no one there. It's him and I on a dirt road in the jungle on a motorcycle. At any time, he could just stop and do whatever he wanted to me, and no one can hear me, and I don't even have cell phone service. So I'm like, okay, well, if I right now try to fight with him, which I was kind of getting angry, it was getting him angry, and that made me really scared. But if I play weak, then he's going to just, do whatever he wants. So I literally didn't know what to do. And it was like, when you're in those horrible situations and all the thoughts are going through your head of just like, oh my God, why am I even on this guy's bike? I don't even know anything about him. I don't even know his last name. Like, I'm such an idiot. How could I trust someone like this? Like, this is going to be the time that I die. How am I going to contact my parents? Like, this is the end of my life. Like, I'm never going to make it out of here. All of these thoughts going through my head. But then again, the higher self came through. I was like, pick up your phone. So I pick up my phone that doesn't have any cell phone service, and I pretend that I'm talking to someone. And I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm with that same driver that I take every day. Yeah, the one that I told you about. Yes, exactly him, who stands in front of, like, and I named the place where he picks me up. That's him. I'm on the back of his motorcycle. We're about 15 minutes away. So why don't you just wait outside and just stand? Oh yeah, let's just keep talking on the phone until then. Yeah, so what are you doing later on? Yeah, I'm just here in the back of the bike, like pretending to talk to someone, like, and that scared him, because he realized, like, oh wait, someone is on the other line and it's going to hear this, and that person knows who I am, and I'm going to get in trouble, and maybe this whole thing isn't worth it. So he dropped me off there, and I literally jumped off. As soon as I could just see people, I like jumped off, and I ran inside, and he ran after me. And for the rest of the night, he was outside of that. I told the performance center, don't let this guy in. And they didn't, but he was just waiting outside for me to leave. And I had to sneak out in the trunk of someone's car so he wouldn't find me. And I head back to where I was staying, so scared that he could find me. And I still had, thank God it was my last night, I still had all my things there. And it was like maybe 2 a.m. at this point. My flight was at like 10 a.m. the next day. I just took all my things, and this another random guy, but at least he had a car, and I just put in the car, and I'm like, just drive me to the airport and I'll just wait there for the next 8 hours. And that's what I did. Thank God. So I share this with you because also travel is not all roses and butterflies. It comes with some real shit. And that's why travel makes you wiser, because you don't get into these situations often. And when you're traveling, you have to think about your basic survival on a daily basis. And when you're living your normal life, you don't have to worry about that. you're not thinking about like, where is a safe place for me to sleep tonight? Like, where can I find safe food to eat tonight? But when I was especially living in India by myself, like that was a daily thought in my mind. Like there were times that I had been stalked, that I had to move to different places because these guys would stalk me. Like I had to deal with a lot of stuff being on my own there. Just because women receive a lot of unwanted attention. Again, this isn't everywhere in India. This doesn't happen to everyone. And this is just one situation out of the millions of positive situations I've had. So in no way do I want to scare anyone from going. Totally still go. Just, be apprehensive. Think on your feet. Don't take anything for face value. People can seem like they're someone who they're not. Good people can make bad decisions. You don't really know what people can do out of poverty and desperation and lack of sexual education. I'm sure this guy just didn't know what he was feeling, and he probably thought, and this happened to me in Bali as well, and it's probably because I'm nice to them, and they have never experienced like a young girl like just being nice to them, because people tend to be more closed off. Like there aren't that many male-female friendships. Now there is with the more educated like class of people, but in the villages that doesn't really exist. If a man and a woman are hanging out, that means like they're going to get married or they're going to be ostracized. So the fact that I was nice to them, that I'd make eye contact with them, smile at them, I think made them think that I actually was interested in them. So when both men put their hands on my thighs, I think that they might have thought that I would have gone for it. And then when they saw that I wasn't, that's when they became angry, and the situation could have easily taken a wrong turn had I not picked up that phone and pretended someone else was on the other line. So if you're ever in that situation, please do that. If you're ever in a situation that you think someone's following you, scream, get other people's attention, because these people who do these things are cowards. The reason they're doing this is because they don't want to be seen, so make them seen. If some guy, you're in a train and he's like jacking off and looking at you, scream, be like, you're disgusting. My friend who I just interviewed, Gabriella, she's going to be on this podcast soon. She shares with us different things that she does when she's dealt with sexual harassment and trauma, and that's the work that she does. So get other people involved. And I really want to share this with you because us women, we've dealt with a lot of things that really we don't talk about, and I want to be able to share this to talk about these things that we experience on a daily basis that seem to be normal but really should not be. So that was my last night in India. I haven't been back since, and I'm going in a few days. So it's going to be really crazy. After I left India, I went to visit my cousin in London. My cousin lives in Iran, and she was studying at Cordon Bleu cooking school in London. So I decided to visit her. I stayed in London for a month. Definitely not the place for me, way too cold. And it was so funny because when I was in London, like every day I would like wake up and like do like my belly dance in like her tiny mirror, and I was just like, oh my God, this is like so not my place. And then I came back to Los Angeles and then was asked to teach at a festival in Costa Rica. So the next day literally packed my bags, went to Costa Rica. So that whole year was just like a whirlwind for me in Costa Rica. I did a very, very intensive shamanic training with this tribe in the mountains in Costa Rica. And that was really, really tough, but really, really beautiful. We slept in tents, and it had a very strong leadership focus, which was really amazing, but it was also like, sweat lodges and really intense like shamanic traditions. And, you're totally one with nature. So it was a lot of growth that year. And then I am back now in April. I spent a month in Costa Rica. I'm back in April, and I'm like, okay, what now? Like this year has been crazy. Like what now? So I start focusing much more on like, okay, I need to get this book done. And by the way, this whole time I've been like working on my book. I haven't just been frolicking around. I've been working on my book, and I've been working with clients online, and that's what I do for work. So I was like, what now? Kind of being in LA, not sure, am I going to stay? Am I going to go? And this part, I really want my boyfriend to be on the episode with me for this, but I'm just going to share a little bit about our story, about how we met. though I don't want to go into full detail because I do want him to be on the podcast so we can share it together. I'm trying to convince him to get on. He doesn't like to be on cameras or being recorded or stuff. He's like, no, I'm not ready yet. But so I come back the next month in May. My friend invites me to do this workshop called the Man Breakthrough Experience, and I danced in the promo video. I was a dancer growing up, so I did like a modern dance in the video, and they gave me a free ticket. So I was like, okay, like fine, I'll just go, thinking like, you know, only like old people need to go to these like romance, heal your relationship with men workshops. I was like, I'm totally fine, despite like being so angry at my ex and all of these things. So I was like, okay, I'll go. And I went to this Man Breakthrough Experience, and if any of you guys are interested, I am able to give you guys, I think it's $100 off. So I'll post the link of that in the show notes also, or just mention like Sahara Rose sent you if you sign up. But in that workshop, it's all about healing your relationship with the masculine, whether that is the masculine in you, your father, your ex, your brother, men in general, all of the male things. And at first I was like, yeah, I don't know, I'm totally cool with that. But I wasn't. I had a lot of shit going on. And I just realized just how much like unresolved anger I had towards my ex, of course. Just even towards my dad, towards just like not trusting men. Really just seeing like we women, we have to suffer so much. And it's because of these guys. Like, these guys just get away with murder, and I'm just so angry at them. And I realized I was holding on to that, even though I never really vocalized it like that. But I always thought like women are so nice and pure and innocent, and men are so evil sometimes. And I did that workshop, and it was really, really, really intense. And you go through a lot of just like going back to your childhood and like communicating with like your parents from like a more intuitive, meditative level, and realizing what it is that you want and your God man. He calls, the guy's name's Kute Blackson. He calls it your God man, just like we're goddesses, they are God men. And really seeing them as like your divine partner and, you know, a sacred individual, and what are the characteristics you want in that sacred individual. So he goes through like the 5 stages of a woman's evolution and a man's evolution. And no, he has 3 stages of a woman's evolution, 7 stages of a man's evolution, and different things like that. So during the workshop is like a lot. You're like sitting for like 14 hours, like especially on that Saturday. So you know me, I'm super Shakti, and like, oh, I need to be like walking around and moving. So I'm like, oh, I just need to like draw a picture. So I'm just kind of doodling, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw a picture of like my God man, like my ideal guy. So I draw a picture of this guy, and I'm just really going for it. I'm like, okay, he's going to have a man bun, and he's going to have beautiful scruffy beard, and he's going to be around 6 feet tall, and he's going to be, I like even labeled like the different ethnicities that he could be, and like put them in order that I wanted him. So I'm like, he's either Middle Eastern or Latino or Greek, or, you know, I just love like exotic people in general, but born in the United States. And he's an entrepreneur, but also really socially conscious, and he likes to eat vegan food, though he doesn't have to be a vegan himself. And he loves music and loves like going to festivals and doing new things, but also loves staying in. And I just was really just like, okay, what could I put out there of all of the things that I would love to have in an ideal partner? So I write all of these things down, draw a picture of this guy. And in the meditation, one of the meditations is like communicating with your ideal partner. And in the meditation, it's like I can see him in the kitchen, but it's like the back of his body. And I'm like, who are you? Where are you? And I want to communicate with him. I want to see who he is. And I'm like, where can I find you? And the only message I receive is like, just enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, and I'll come to you when the time is right. But like, I'm there, and don't ever feel alone, because we are going to be together in this life. So just wait for me and be patient and keep living your life. Keep on doing everything that it is that you want to do, and we'll eventually meet together. So I was just so moved that, this person does exist. I could feel his presence, but I didn't know where or anything about him really. So I told the universe, I'm like, okay, I don't care if I'm 75 years old when I meet this person, but I need to meet this person in my life. Do not send me anyone my way who is not this person. I don't care if I'm single for the next 20 decades. Like, I just want to wait until I can find this person. Like, I don't want to date around. I don't want to meet different people. I'm not into like having fun or whatever. I just want to meet this person. So I continue on with my life, and this gets crazy. I'm going to like really give the story for when my boyfriend comes, but so I'll like save the details for that because I want him to be on. I think it would be really funny to go through it with him. But eventually I did find him, and I found him, and that was just crazy because so much had happened that year. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be living in LA, but the moment that I met him, I knew he was the one for me. In fact, I told my friend the next day that I met him, I was like, I'm going to marry this guy. She's like, you're crazy. Like, you just met him. And I'm like, no, I'm going to marry him. And I was so sure. And I still am so sure. So when I met him, I knew that my plans of going to Ecuador, doing this, doing that, done. That none of that even appealed to me anymore. All I wanted to do was to grow internally with this partner, with this reflection that I had, and I was no longer seeking to have a new experience, have a new stamp on my passport. Like that constant quench for experience was fulfilled because just me and him staring into each other's eyes is like infinite travel in one moment. And if you've ever been in love, you know what I'm talking about. And it's a beautiful thing because it's just like, it's like from girlhood to womanhood. And you just these little things don't matter to you. Like, oh yeah, I could be, on a beach. I could be this, I could be that. But like, I am choosing to be here. I'm choosing to like be home doing laundry and cooking vegetables and sitting on a couch with you because there's nowhere else I'd rather be. So that was a drastic shift in my energy from this like nomad to this like being so committed to someone. And it's interesting because in my former relationship, I was still super nomad, like let's do this, let's do that, travel, like go all these places without him. I mean, I wouldn't be who I was if the relationship wasn't like that, but I grew so much on my own because there really wasn't that much that we connected on, honestly. But with my partner now, we connect on so many things that we could just talk for hours and just like lie down in bed. And like, that's just all of the entertainment that I need. So we began that sacred partnership and things moved so fast. I'm sure you guys have been in like, situations like that like within 2 months he came to Boston, he met my parents, and then later on that year, we went to Hawaii together. I went on a belly dance retreat and he came with me, which was so sweet, and like stayed in the belly dance retreat with all the girls. And then I got an apartment, my first apartment, in January of the next year, which was like, meeting him was the first anchor. And then the apartment was like the second anchor of like, okay, like I'm really doing this. I'm going to be living in one place, and I like getting a car and all of these things that I had just been avoiding because I was afraid of sticking to one destination. And now I'm so happy to be in LA. Like even when I leave, I just can't wait to come back home. And then the final anchor was getting Chubby, my little puppy. And, we got him last October, and yeah, now, when you have a dog, it's like your number one priority. And I can only imagine what having kids is like. And it's just been such a beautiful experience. And, when I was like younger, I was like, whoa, like, why did people want to settle down and like stay home? Like, I don't get it. But I'm like, now I totally get it. Like, I just look at Chubby and I just love him so much. And I can only imagine what it would be like when I have kids, which I definitely do want to have. So, in terms of career, I when I started dating Steven, he really made me step up, and he is also an entrepreneur. He owns a music business company. He's a manager. So they manage different artists, different producers, singer-songwriters, things like that. And he started the company himself. I'll let him share his own story with you, but he's also had an amazing journey of ups and downs to get to where he is today. He graduated college when he was 18 years old and worked in real estate, realized it didn't make him happy, worked in film, lost his money, and started from scratch in music, made his way up, and now has his own management company. So he really made me step my game up. And he's like, no, like really, like where would you see yourself doing? Like, do you just want to be an Instagrammer for the rest of your life? Because I was realizing I was putting so much of my emphasis on my Instagram. And he's like, Instagram's going to shut down. And like, what are you going to have? And it was true. And it still is true. Like, I mean, I just noticed from last year to this year, people are using Instagram way less. I know I am. I remember when I first got Instagram a few years ago, I was like actively looking for people to follow and, searching hashtags and things like that. And that's so not the case anymore. So now I think, I don't know what's going to be next, but definitely Instagram is not what it used to be. And it's just like Facebook. I don't even use Facebook at all at this point. So he's like, you need to make your mark on this world, really, and like stop playing small. And that's what a lot of us women do. We play small. So that really got me motivated to finish my book, the Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type book, edit it, find professional editors, get it professionally graphic designed, and create into a finished 350-page book. And I did that. And I have another episode, I think it's episode 2, that I talk about how I wrote The Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda. And I describe that whole process in that episode, and another episode that's like in the teens about how it became the #1 bestseller. So listen to those episodes if you're interested more in my book journey. So I wrote that book, and then eventually found a literary agent and was hired to write The Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda. And I wrote that book. And now what I really focus on, I just finished writing my next book, Eat, Feel Fresh, which is a contemporary plant-based Ayurvedic cookbook. And in a few days, I'll be heading off to India. When you listen to this, I'll probably be on the way. So now, where do I see myself going next? I realize that my true passion is really this podcast and what this topic is about, helping people become their highest selves. And for me, health is not an end goal. It is a means to the end. And my real focus is not on like, oh, how can I just be a little healthier? And what does this herb do? Like, all of that is great. And I love talking about that stuff, but I don't think that's my highest purpose here on this planet. Like, heal your body so you can serve, so you can fulfill your mission, so you can live out your dharma and make an impact. To me, that's what really gets my juices going. So I created the Doshas and Dharma program, which is my 4-week coaching program that teaches you how to find your purpose. And every single person that graduated from the program, I did it this October, has had an incredible transformation, truly. I'll be making the new sales page for that, and I'll be having some of their video testimonials, which I'm really excited to share with you. So really, my purpose above everything is just to help people find their gifts and share it with the world. And I want to inspire other people to become Ayurvedic practitioners, become coaches, become whatever it is that they want to do. For me, it's not about me just doing the thing, but I want to help other people too. And it's so interesting because when I was in Bali, I remember one day I got a download of information saying you need to put a service on your website called Truth Coaching. And I put it on my website and I was like, I offer truth coaching of like helping you find your truth of what you need to be doing. No one signed up for it. But that's always been something that really, really deeply resonated with me. And another thing in Bali was, as I was writing this Ayurveda book, suddenly I got this idea for this book called How to Operate on a Soul Level. And it was like, I had the idea. I was like, no, I need to focus on this Ayurveda book. And it just kept coming through. So finally I was like, okay, let me just write what it's like. And I actually wrote an entire book. It's like about 200 pages called How to Operate on a Soul Level. I was actually just rereading it, and some of the stuff I said, I was like, amazing. I'm like, where did I think of that? And like some of the other stuff, I'm like, I would definitely edit that and maybe take that out. But really this purpose has always been inside of me. Ayurveda was just the journey that I had to go through to get here. And Ayurveda is still a journey that I will keep for the rest of my life. I love looking at things from the perspective of the doshas, not just health, but in relationships and career and money and all of these things. I like to look at them from doshic perspectives of how is a vata in love? How does a pitta handle money? What should a kapha do for work? Things like that really get me, my juices flowing. But really, I see myself as so much more than just an Ayurvedic practitioner, but really just helping people in all areas of life and helping people figure out what their truths are. So that's basically my story. Thank you guys so much for listening to this. I think people can resonate a lot more with someone when they know what they've been through. A lot of people out there, they just look at someone, maybe they look at the end project, and they even can hold resentment or jealousy or judgment. And you know, no one's life is picture perfect. You know, we've all dealt with shit. And I just hope that I can use my shit to help you deal with a little less of it. You know, I just want to share it. And I hope that this inspires you also to share what you've been through, because that's how we heal the world, when we can all stand up and be like, yeah, like I've gone through periods of really darkness. I've gone through breakups. I've gone through all of the horrible things that, you know, we don't speak about, and I'm here on the other side. And wherever you are, if you're in one of those dark spots, I know a lot of you guys have reached out to me on the last episode saying that you're at that point where you don't know what to do, and, you know, you feel like you want to leave, but maybe things are holding you back. Like, you don't have to go to Bali. Like, that's not the solution. That's just one solution. If that calls to you, it was calling to me, and I was fortunate enough to not have kids and work online and be able to go. Again, you can make it happen, no matter what. I don't, you know, a lot of families I saw in Bali that, or even moms would move with their kid. Schools in Bali are really cheap and really amazing. So you could, even if you have a kid, nothing is stopping you, but it's not what you have to do. You know, transformation can happen anywhere. And there were a lot of, you know, things I saw in Bali that I was like, that's so not how I want to live my life. Like, again, it wasn't always this picture perfect paradise. Like, they say your first time in Bali is like blissful. Your second time in Bali is the island is like, okay, you need to get out of here. Because the thing is, a lot of Western people have moved there, and it's brought up prices for Balinese people, and it's driven them out of cities and driven them, you know, deeper into the jungle where they might not necessarily want to live. Their ancestors were not in those areas. So that's why in Bali, there actually is a law that you can only stay there for 1 month. Every month, you're supposed to leave and do a visa run to Singapore or something and come back. So it's not like you can just move to Bali, get a house there. That's actually illegal. It's illegal for a foreign person to own a house in Bali. There are ways around the visa thing that I won't say on iTunes because I can get in trouble, but you know, you don't have to go. You can totally do the transformation anywhere. It's happening more and ever here in the United States or in Europe or wherever you are. So by no means am I saying everyone must do it. I think just the amazing thing about travel is that it makes you rethink everything. You're taken out of your comfort zone and you're put into really difficult situations. And that's what makes you grow. Not traveling on a luxury yoga retreat, not going to a 5-star hotel. That's not going to put you out of your comfort zone. Like, you're just going to eat a little bit different food and maybe your towels be folded differently. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like living with families or living, you know, in prisons or orphanages and things like that, and really being of service. If you're going to travel somewhere, you better be of service to the people, because if you're just going there to take their resources, that's not fair. So wherever you travel, please, please, please offer something back, whether it's teaching English, teaching nutrition, teaching yoga, business, law, doing doctor visits, whatever you can do. People need your help, and if you're going to experience the beauty of their culture and take from it, you should always, always, always give back. So yeah, that's my story. I hope that it inspires you to share yours, to live your life, to go through those uncomfortable patches and know that beauty awaits you as long as you really keep your eye on the prize and never forget who you are and never forget that you're worth it. I hate when people say that only 1 in a million can do that. It's the worst saying of all time, because first of all, there's not 1 in a billion. You're 1 in 7.5 billion, not million. So you can tell them that. But also, if we all thought like that, then we would never go for it. The reason it's 1 in a million is because maybe 1 in a million actually kept trying hard enough. So don't feel like, oh, only 1 in a million can be like an incredible actor or astrologer or whatever it is that you want to do. That person can be you. You just have to want it enough and keep on going. So don't let anything, any limiting beliefs, any old paradigm thoughts keep you from living your truth. Don't let internet trolls keep you from sharing your wisdom. Like I had some girl message me being like, she hadn't even listened to the last podcast. She's like, how dare you tell people to move to Bali and go on a luxury retreat and you think that's helping people? Like, that's so like white privileged of you to say, blah, blah, blah. I was like, honey, first of all, you haven't listened to the episode if you thought I was on a luxury vacation in Bali. It was anything but. Second of all, you must be filled with a lot of anger to be responding that way. And third of all, you're colorblind because I'm not white. So it's like those people exist. These people who have a lot of anger inside of them. And these are why internet trolls remain internet trolls for the rest of their lives. Like, have you ever messaged a stranger something mean? Probably not. But these people probably do it to like 20 people a day. They like honestly probably sit home and get triggered by people living their truths online and send them mean messages. That's what they do. So send them love. You know, it must really suck to live in a chaotic mind like that is always triggered by everyone else's success. And people like that are going to remain miserable for the rest of their lives until they take responsibility for their own happiness and know that, you know, your happiness does not exist in bringing other people down. So those internet trolls are going to be out there, and don't let that stop you from sharing. A lot of people, I know in my Doshas and Dharma program, the thing that was stopping them was their fear of, you know, what if someone writes something mean to me on YouTube? What if someone says I'm a phony? What if someone, you know, doesn't like my blog post? And it's like, you know what, probably that's going to happen. All of the above is going to happen, but there's going to be 5,000 times more people who like your stuff, who are rocking you on, who are saying, keep going. Like, just shift your perspective to all the people who have your back. And most importantly, you have your own back. So who cares what the haters say? That's why they're haters. That's why they're still vibrating in that lower vibration state. And if we give into them, we're not going to be able to operate at our own high vibration state because we're going down to their level. So let those people who write mean reviews, mean comments, mean things, let them just, you know, get off on their own just anger and whatever it is that makes them feel worthy for 5 minutes. And, you know, they already know what's up. It's not up to us to change it. So don't let these trolls get in your way. Just send them love, you know, and know that you are doing such a brave and important thing by sharing your truth. And it inspires everyone around you to do the same when you rise up and you share what is going on in your life in an authentic and vulnerable way. So I hope that this was an example of that. Thank you so much for listening. I am heading to India, so this is my last podcast episode that I'm recording until I'm gone, though the podcast will still be going on as I'm away. We'll have Brett Larkin on next week, and I'll have to decide who the other interviews will be. I have a lot of great interviews lined up for you guys, so keep tuning in on Mondays to the Highest Self podcast. There will be more interviews coming your way. And you can follow me on Instagram at I am Sahara Rose and see my India trip, what's going on there as I'm filming different content and shooting photography for my book and all sorts of fun things I have in store for you guys. And if you're not a member of the Mind Body Balancers Facebook group, it's my private Facebook community where we share, we dive deeper into these topics, we support each other. I was just sharing, I found out I had adrenal fatigue, so I was just asking them about their tips and tricks, and people have been giving me awesome words of advice, whether it's cool essential oil blends or awesome podcasts to listen to and things like that. So it's a cool group of people who all have each other's backs. So come join us. Mind Body Balancers Facebook group. Again, the link is in the show notes and you can come and hang out with us there. Look forward to talking to you guys again when I'm back from India in January, and have a beautiful holiday season. Namaste.